So, and so now it's like, okay, how do I? You've now tuned in to the Drawing Board Podcast, a powerful, thought-provoking discussion where we talk about family, relationships, ministry, community, and career. Let's see what exciting guests we have on our show today. Hello, hello, hello. This is the founder and the host of the Drawing Board Podcast. You know, I normally end the show with telling you that your future is not behind you, that it's not before you, it is within you. Today is an awesome day that for all of the educators, for all of the administrators, for all of the teachers, the students and families, you should be kind of getting back to the rhythm of the second week of school. So to all of you all that are in the grind and the hustle of reacclimating yourself to your school schedule, I know you're probably sleepy around this time, but tonight we have an amazing and an awesome guest, someone who's out there, a mover and a shaker, a big money maker, the one who's out here challenging and shifting cultural norms and being able to bring a new narrative to what it is to be cool and smart, being able to put the fun back into it. And also, I know if you see his face on our Facebook Live, you recognize his face. You probably shined up some Chuck Taylors and made it happen down there supporting a great cause. So we got my A1 since day one. Kate is in the house. She lift up her foot. She got her Chuck tees on.
Always.
All right. So tonight, I welcome to the show, the Drawing Board Nation welcomes Jason Applin. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man. It's good to see you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we jump into all of the great content that we're going to talk about tonight,
Right.
Man, I remember the first time meeting you was when Eric and Marcus had invited me. We were in Southfield to a meeting with Black United Fund with Ken Donaldson. Shout out to Mr. D and all of the Buff Connects and everybody making a difference out there with surrounding that particular organization. And, man, it was a lot of innovative thinkers, some of the great thought leaders that we see now that are doing some really big things. And I listened to you talk. And you were talking about, and when I heard you up there, you were talking about mentorship. And when you first started out, you know, how you were throwing parties, you know.
Right.
And, man, listen, and then you got into connecting a party and a purpose.
Right.
So, man, when I heard you say that, I was listening. I was like, okay, cool. He took something that he enjoyed doing, that it was good. It was a great time for people.
Right.
Like, to walk me through that process, man. How did you end up, how did you start doing that?
So I can basically break it down. And it's funny, I just left Mr. Donaldson at Buff. So one of my mentors, Jerome Buffington, I always would do club parties and social events. And I remember it was one of my last events I was doing at the Whitney. So I used to do every Friday at the Whitney downtown Detroit. And Jerome was like, hey, Jason, you have this audience. Now it's time to evolve and think about how can you take this audience and drive them to something that's more social, with more social impact. You know, it's cool to party, you know, have some booze and some spirits, have a little fun. But as we start to mature and get older, use that same consumer base, and now we can drive things that's going to move the community forward, be more social impactful. So once he said that, and usually I'm a good listener with my mentors, they tell me to do stuff, I kind of just do it. I started to think about that. And then from there, that's how I got involved in Buff, because they started Buff Connect. We all started to come to Buff Connect, and that's where I met Mr. Donaldson, because Mr. D was Jerome Buffington's mentor. So Mr. D is like my mentor squared.
Oh, wow, okay.
Right.
So, yeah,
so that's how it happened.
Yeah, I never connected those dots.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All
That's
right.
how it
So,
happened.
yeah, I know Buffington and all the awesome things that he's doing. And,
Yeah.
you know, we kind of follow his lead in that respect. And his wife is doing great things as
Carrie.
well.
Yep.
So, and doing that at a high level.
Yeah.
So when I got a chance to also hear you speak, man, one of the things that you were touching on is like leveraging that younger voice, like allowing the, you know, how does the younger voice get to the table? Embrace some of the, you know, I won't say traditional ideas, but some of the ideas that have worked, but then also be able to leverage their voice at the table.
Right.
And I've seen you do that, man, like with Tux and Chuck. So like take me to create the experience for me, man. So how do you and Scruggs get together, man, and decide that you're going to make this happen?
So me and Byron, I mean, we're both Scorpios. My birthday is November 10th. His is the 18th in November. And we always, I mean, fun is our lifeline. That's my lane. Okay. Like if I had a limited budget on how people can have a great time, I feel like that would be the best job in the world. I'm all about having fun. You work hard, you play hard. So me and Byron, we always wanted to do an event to celebrate our birthdays, in which it originally start as a birthday party, but we always wanted to tie that social impact that Jerome Buffington was always telling us about. Like, hey, we're getting older. How are you going to impact your community? How are you going to be more philanthropic? That's where the evolution of a lot of party promoters should go, because you already have the audience, and it's not like as we get older we don't stop partying. We just do it in more philanthropic ways, raising money for charity. It's always going to be an event at the end of the day. Events don't stop. It's a whole business. I don't know how much money is raised doing events, but I'm sure it's a multi-million, maybe billion-dollar industry, right?
Right.
So from there, we was like, okay, Byron was saying, hey, I want, when he got married, him and his wife Kelly got married, his groomsmen wore Chuck Taylors. So they wore their tuxedos and Chuck Taylors. So that's where the idea of Tux and Chucks came from. And I just put a name together. He was like, yeah, I want to wear tuxedos and Chucks. So it rhymed, Tux and Chucks.
Yeah.
You want something that's going to stick quick and people can just, it can resonate and you can build branding behind it. So that's what we came up with. And the first year was really, it was still in birthday party mode, but we did donate portions of our proceeds to a nonprofit of someone that we knew. And there it started to grow. And then it took on its own life. And really, we separated our birthdays outside of it, and Tux and Chucks became the event that you know today.
Absolutely. Do you know, and I wondered if you knew, but there is a Tux and Chucks happening in Indianapolis. Did you know that?
Right. So the funny thing about it is we have a trademark on the name Tux and Chucks.
Okay.
But a lot of times what we don't do is, we can send cease and desist letters to people. But, it's not really worth the hassle. When you got a good product, people are going to copy it. And it's been copied in Phoenix. It's been copied in Milwaukee. It's been copied in Indianapolis. It's been copied in multiple places. And we see it because a lot of our constituency and our supporters, they'll show it. Instagram, you see everything, right? You can just hashtag Tux and Chucks, and you'll see the different Tux and Chucks that, kind of copied us. But like you say, people are doing it on a small level, and they're not doing it on a level big enough. I was really concerned about, like, let's say Converse came in and they wanted to do one. I'm more the big corporations that can kind of wipe you out. And the funny thing about it, we've been reaching out to Converse to partner for the last couple years. We partner with them, I think, in the malls, and we give people discounts and stuff like that. But I actually been in touch with the CFO of Converse and trying to really bring him on board and say, hey, let's make this a multi-city, national type things where we'll do Tux and Chucks and 10-city tour and raise money and be more impactful than they will actually pay maybe a celebrity to do that. Because every year when we have it, like, sales spike.
Absolutely.
The most people we had 1,200 people a couple years back at the MGM, and we counted 800-900 people wearing Chucks, and you're not going to come out with an old pair of Chucks. You're going to go buy you a new pair. Right. Especially as you start to bedazzle them and make them funky, and we're doing Chuck Taylor, contests and what have you. So we drive product. We just need to get Converse on board.
So, man, listen, I would purchase a pair if there was a pair of J-App, Chucks, or B Scruggs Chucks, like for the event, or like the limited edition, let's say 2020 Tux and Chucks, shoe came out. Right. Like I would rock a shoe like that.
Well, we need to get with Converse and do a cool smart Chuck.
Okay.
A cool smart incorporated Chuck. So that's something that we have to, maybe we have to explore and see how we can do that.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, that event, I got a chance to come, and man, what I loved about it, it was so many diverse professionals. Right. It was, some of the senior level professionals, some of the younger people, some of the people from the hood. It was just
it's everything.
It was such a diverse experience, man. But had an excellent time. What was funny, one of my homeboys from Fort Wayne, Indiana, had moved up here. Okay, and he and I hadn't been able to. We didn't connect, since he had been up here. But I was at Tux and Chucks, and then he was there. So I was like, I saw one of my childhood friends. Right. We reconnected at Tux and Chucks, man. So. Continue that great work. And you mentioned your organization, Cool Smart. Right. Yeah, so, like, I'm all about, like, the experience, right? So either things where you had, like, this epiphany or gradual, like, increase as far as social impact of what you wanted to do. But when we talked, this was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and we were talking about, how you had to put the fun back into, kids being able to understand.
Yeah, you do. I mean, like you say, as we get older and we want to give back to the community, but nowadays it has to be a fun element. Like when you even look at, we're going through Mr. Donaldson's organization with Buff. That's next year it'll be the 50th anniversary. But when you naturally, us millennials, or I don't know if we call it Gen X or Y, depending on your age group, I'm about to be 39 this year in November, so I don't know where I fall. I probably got 1 foot in the millennial realm and 1 foot in Generation Y or X.
Yeah.
Or Z. I don't know. They just come up. Every
With the
year,
letters, right.
every year, just pick a letter,
I
right?
think we are. I think we're X and millennials. So
Right,
I'll
right.
be 37 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's like we're like older millennials,
Right.
But younger like Gen Xers.
Yeah, got you. So from that standpoint, when you look at traditionally how fundraisers go, from our perspective, they're boring.
Right.
And I feel like you can still be philanthropic and have social impact, but there can be an entertainment element where you walk away from that event and you actually enjoyed yourself. So combining the two, and I think that's what it took to get us young folks involved, is we don't want to go to your normal fundraiser where you're sitting down at a table, you have your chicken and peas and whatever, and you want to have entertainment. You want to walk away and say, okay, I contributed to this nonprofit's mission statement, but I also had a good time.
Right.
And that's where it's all about with us, where, like I said, fun being our lifeline, everything has to be infused with fun, even if it's educational, if it's, going out, we're cleaning up the community, whatever, we have to have a fun element to it, because that's just basically what we live by.
Yeah, so when I'm sitting here, man, I'm always thinking about like, okay, if I had to package it, and I'm sure that, you already have some coin, but I'm thinking like, man, it would be like the 3 E's of like your fundraising, right? So it has to be engaging, has to be entertaining, and then there has to be an enlightenment element, or, something that you learn within the process of that. And, when you're having fun, you're more open or apt to make a decision to give, because you are, hey, even the words say God loves a cheerful giver, right? So
why not?
You gotta have fun.
Let's make a night of it.
And you gotta, whether it's you turning up, getting lit, getting crunk, having fun, that's all those different generations, or if you're off the hook, off the chain, whatever your phrase is. Like, this is a great way to do it. Now, I know you were also talking about partnering with some schools in order to bring that element of Cool Smart to the schools. How do you do that?
Yeah, so definitely. So Byron Suggs, he's my partner and co-founder. He actually went to Cass Tech. He's a Cass Tech alumni of 1999.
CT, my wife is 96. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So there's a group within Cass Tech called CT Gents. So what we do is we hook up with that group, and it's basically just bringing nonprofit 101 to a high schooler, because that's something I didn't have. And I know a lot of schools are having a charitable arm or charitable curriculum now in the elementary, middle school to teach kids about social impact. But from that standpoint, we didn't have that growing up, and it's good. We just partner with the school and just sit down with them, having conversations about just one-on-one. Do you know what a nonprofit is? Do you do any current charitable giving? Do your family does it? Like, just having these conversations that sparking ideas in the kids and saying, hey, if you want to give, if you can't give money because you're in high school. I know I didn't have any money in high school until I got to 12th grade and started working. But you can give your sweat equity. We can go out here and clean up parks and clean up communities and clean up, the area in which you live, and that's still charitable within its own right. So just like sparking ideas and expanding the young mind, because a lot of times you don't know what's out there until you get the exposure. Absolutely. So that's what we're doing, working with the high schools to get them exposed and get them out in the streets and doing different activities around charity.
So let's say I'm not a CT gent,
right?
But I want to get involved with Cool Smart, and I want to help out with what you're doing with the young people, or different events that you may throw. How do I get involved?
So a lot of people, they hit us up on our website. Our website is www.coolsmart.org. I'm on social media, at coolsmart.inc. My personal account is at J_APP. So that's for J App, Jason Appling. My partner Byron, he's on there. So there's a lot of ways that you can find us on social media. If you type in Cool Smart in Google, you'll see Tux and Chuck stuff pop up, videos, websites. Like, we're all over the place because, we use hashtags and different things. So we're easy to find. And I'm sure my phone number is like all over the place.
Okay.
I haven't changed my phone number since 1998.
Okay. All right. So I just want to when you talk about social impact, I want to share about some of the agencies that have been impacted by your philanthropy. So, Building Better Men with Otis Bellinger.
Yes, Otis.
Professional Youth Detroit. Now, Purpose for Youth Detroit.
Correct.
Whose organization is that?
Purposeful Youth. So that's one of our friends that we actually, and I'm drawing a blank on the name now because we give so much money. So when you think about it, over this will be the 9th year. So we're approaching our 10th year of Tucks and Chucks.
Right.
And we've probably almost given away about $80,000.
Oh, that's great.
$80,000 from proceeds that we make from the Tucks and Chucks event. And a lot of times that's not highlighted, but I take pride in that because that's money. When we present that big check, they get a check.
Absolutely.
So organizations are getting $2,000, $2,500 a piece, whatever the percentage that we raise. You know, a lot of times from our standpoint, me and Byron, we're not the event. We might not profit, but we still want to make sure that the purpose of what we're creating is to really help organizations that have a smaller reach than we do, because everybody can't throw an event and have 5, 6, 7, 800, the most we had 1,200 people come out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's hard to do. And that's just a skill set that we've built just being the type of people we are, and people like to be around us, and we care about people's entertainment.
Right.
So a lot of these organizations are smaller, and what we did is we provided that money because as a nonprofit, especially a young nonprofit, a lot of the big corporations or organizations, they don't give to the smaller nonprofits. They go for bigger, well-known nonprofits that get all the money.
Right.
And a lot of us small organizations, we struggle to get by. People are using their personal income from their jobs, or they're just trying to do, maybe not, just different ways to just fund their business and run and get that mission statement out there. So for that standpoint, we focused on how can we help people that can't do what we can do when it comes to throwing an event.
So question for you, and this is related to so in business, once you have a product, you can take it to scale.
Correct.
So when you're talking about scaling like an activity within a nonprofit, will Cool Smart partner and teach a nonprofit how to grow its impact or grow its social impact? Do these organizations, do they have an opportunity to help the movement of Tucks and Chucks each year?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We, a lot of these people that we actually fund, give a monetary gift to, they are patrons of the event, so which is good. So yeah, I mean they'll just to share on social media helps a lot. I mean, that's just more exposure so people can actually know about it, because we all have different networks within our own. But even though you might see my posting or my advertising, if somebody you can relate to and posted, then that gives it validity to you because you have that 6 degrees separation or you're familiar with them.
Right.
So it helps. I mean, yeah, they come all the time from that standpoint. So I mean, it helps. I mean, and then like you say, we start to find out more about their organization, so we start to go to their events, so it just creates this cross collaboration and just this community of smaller organizations that have different mission statements, but it's great, like Kicks for Kids. I mean, that's an organization that is based off of the fact that kids in the Pontiac area, when you go to school, bullying might start with fashion. If you got rundown shoes or rundown clothes, so her organization is all about giving kids new shoes so they won't feel uncomfortable, and you have that anxiety of just, I'm going to school and I just don't look the part like everybody else. So organizations like that, I mean, it's a lot of good things that's going on in the community, and what we try to do is help fund their mission and then also bring exposure to their mission.
Right. That's what I can appreciate about what Cool Smart is doing. Because I'm looking at Identify Your Dream Foundation, Detroit Young Professionals, Detroit Jazz Fest, the Union with brother Jason Wilson.
Oh, he's amazing.
Oh man, listen,
that guy's amazing.
Oh yeah, he's out there killing it.
Jason he's amazing.
Absolutely. And Teen Hype. So when I think about dollars, and I think about impact, for me, I see those faces, right? And of course, me working in education or working in a school, I'm thinking about how that dollar translates to impact and changing a life, right? And so when I think about B2M or Building Better Men, and I know the work that Otis does with those young men, and I think about the Union, so these are major players that's shifting the narrative, right?
Correct.
So and the major narrative want to get something to eat. But the
You say a little hungry.
Right. The major narrative that's being shifted is like that each person has intrinsic value and has the power to impact another person's life.
Right.
So when I see you with Cool Smart and I see you like impacting SAFE, which is bringing awareness around domestic violence. Yeah, and I remember sitting in. This is when New Detroit started their first, like their capacity building, right?
Okay.
So I was down there with another organization, and I remember when she initially started SAFE and to see how it has grown, and then seeing how like Cool Smart is a part of that movement. Like when you think about it, and I'm talking about like qualifying and quantifying the work that you're doing.
Right.
Like, man, those lives of people that you'll never touch. I was talking to a coworker, and I was saying you have to create something that has an impact that outlives you, right?
Right, you do.
Yeah. So, man, listen, this is when you talk about engaging with the community and social impact, how does Jason Appling, what do you see? What is your major Achilles heel that you say, I want to change this?
For me, I think it's basically the mission statement of Cool Smart, because I felt like there's a gap. Like when you look at older individuals, and especially in our community, in the African American community, when you look at older Black folks,
right,
I think they understand the power of giving monetarily, not only giving your sweat equity, your time, and your efforts, but giving money. I think they understand that more than our generation does, because I think our generation thinks more about the exchange. Okay, if I give monetarily, what do I give back? So it's really the Achilles heel for me is as you reach a certain point in your life and you start to make a certain amount of money, there has to be a social impact part of that, because your success is not only what you can acquire yourself, it's about whose lives you're changing. So Cool Smart is built off of that whole ideology of our, us, the Gen Xers / millennials. When do we get to a point of maturity to where we're like, okay, it's not only about ourselves and what we can gather from the situation, we have to help others. We have to pay it forward. That whole hashtag pay it forward. That's what Cool Smart is about. So that's always been the issue, because, what nonprofits, even young nonprofits, what we go through is, like you say, we can be self-sustainable. I mean, just look at what happened with that chicken sandwich.
Right.
And Popeyes.
Right. Yes.
I just read something. They sold like 1,000 chicken sandwiches a day and all this craziness stuff. I mean, that's cool. Go eat. I like chicken too. But I mean, if we use the same type of influence in our own community with our own businesses, then we can be self-sustainable. We won't have to, I won't need to go to X company to try to get a grant or try to get X amount of dollars, because I can just fundraise through my own community. Right. And it doesn't have to be philanthropic. It doesn't have to be Jason donate $10,000. You can get 10,000 people donating $1.
Absolutely. That's it. And when you say you over the 9 years you've given away or you've donated $80,000, that is nearly
$80,000.
Yeah, that is nearly $10,000 a year.
Right.
Yeah, that you all have been able to distribute.
Approximately $80,000. And some years we give more and some we give less. It all depends on what's coming in. But, I mean, like you say, that's impactful. That's money going out to nonprofits to help them do whatever. I mean, if they need to buy laptops just to run their organization, if they need money for an event or a program, I mean, these are checks that we've given out over the last 8 years.
So now here's the question that I have for all of the nonprofit listeners who are saying, man, how do I get my name in the running,
right?
To receive these funds? So how does a nonprofit petition get involved, make you aware of them?
Right.
How do we do that?
Oh, I don't have that issue. I get that's not a problem. When you're giving out money, people find you, right? You're the easiest person to find. So every year when we launch the event, and we're going to launch next week, we start a Facebook. So what we did is we found out we want to take it out of our hands of actually choosing. Okay. And we put it like once all the nonprofits submit, and you have to have a 501c3. That's like our criteria. You have to be a 501c3 incorporated nonprofit organization. And then you submit, and then we'll put the list of nonprofits on Facebook and the top 2 vote getters.
Okay.
receive the monetary gift.
So you leave it to the community.
We leave it to the people.
All
Let
right.
your people hold you down. Because one of the things that happens is, you know, we wanted to take ourselves out of it because a lot of times it's funny. You know, you start picking and choosing, and you don't want to give people the idea that you're picking favorites, right?
Okay.
So we took it out of our hands and put it in the people's hands. If you want to get the money, you make sure you get as many clicks and many votes in the top 2 getters. That's going to be who's going to get the monetary gift from Cool Smart this year.
Okay, cool. So then now shifting gears.
Right.
You have this entrepreneurial venture that you are embarking on. I saw it on Facebook today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just launched it.
Yeah, you just launched it today.
Right.
So talk to me about it, man.
So basically what happened is, so I went to Southfield Latham, class of 98, and one of my friends, Dennis McKinley, we played basketball together, and we stayed good friends. He actually he moved, he's originally from Detroit.
Okay.
He moved down to Atlanta, and he started this, it's called the Original Hot Dog Factory. And basically what he was saying is he missed coney dogs and hot dogs because Atlanta, he was saying Atlanta is more of a wing city.
Okay.
Chicken wings. He's from Detroit. We got Coney Islands all over the place. So he actually walked into business one day and he bought a hot dog franchise. And what he ended up doing is exponentially growing the sales, and then he franchised it. So when he did that, I started, watching his move. We're all on social media, and I know he's down in Atlanta, and he got other businesses too as well. So what sparked it with me, for Cool Smart, we actually partner with Comerica Park, and nonprofits can actually run the concession stands, and you get a percentage of the sales.
Okay.
You get like 9-10% of alcohol and food.
Right.
So I think it was one day last year I think Alan Trammell's jersey got retired, and I swear I rolled up 1,000 hot dogs in one day. And people were paying like $7 to $10, and you get a family of 4, that's $50. And I'm sitting here like, wow.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Hot dog.
All right, this is simple.
This is a plain hot dog with nothing on it.
Right.
So I'm texting him. I'm like, man, when are you going to franchise? So once he actually built it out and he franchised it, me and another friend, Todd Grafton, we all went to Southfield Latham. You know Todd.
Yeah, I know Todd.
You know
Yeah,
Todd from
right.
Buff. So me and Todd got together because at the time we were looking at different opportunities because we always wanted a food franchise. But, when you think about most franchises like a Chick-fil-A or Subway, you got to give up your firstborn. You got to have like $1 million in collateral.
Absolutely.
You got to have all these assets. I mean, there's really no opportunity for the young entrepreneur like us. Like, it's just beyond us. Unless you're like that top 1 percentile where, you just, I don't know, if you came out with a tech company and you got rich, it's just hard to break into the business.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So for this, he started to franchise. It's very new. There's like 3 locations in Atlanta. And it's a perfect opportunity because it was affordable for us. So we getting it on the ground up. We're getting it from the ground. Like, think about investing in Chick-fil-A.
From the ground.
From the ground.
Right.
Like, Chick-fil-A moves to Detroit, before it got big down south, because by the time it came to Detroit, it was already out of reach, right?
Right.
But you're in that neighboring area where Chick-fil-A is starting to move to the next neighboring, state, and you can get in before it's just unaffordable. Right. So from that standpoint, I'm like, hey, we're a hot dog city and people love hot dogs. And then the thing about the Original Hot Dog family, the Original Hot Dog Factory, is the hot dogs are gourmet and they're based off of different cities. So your Carolina dog will have coleslaw on it. Your Detroit Coney dog, chili, mustard and onions.
Okay.
Your Boston dog got baked beans on it. So it mirrors the culture of food in each different city, and that's how you have this different plethora of hot dogs. And then also we have the Beyond Sausage, because vegan is a big thing.
Right.
So you gotta give these different, alternative, selections for meat or non-meat selections. So as you're looking at it, man, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, man, I'm sitting here, my stomach over here growling.
Right, and you're looking at it like they got a taco dog. There's
taco dog.
A Caribbean jerk chicken dog.
Okay.
I'm gonna push. I'm gonna push Dennis lobster. We need a lobster dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much that we can do because, we're jumping on board at the ground. at the ground level. So we're influential in this market, and we can kind of tailor make it to this market because Dennis knows Detroit. Sell Faygo Pop. That's from Detroit. Red Hot Chips.
Right.
The things that we like,
Yeah.
So
now, I got a request, man. I don't know if you can do it, or maybe I'll just have to put it on the side. So,
right.
Like we talk about Delaware, man. We got to have some lobster fries.
Lobster
yeah,
fries.
So I'm telling you, man, the
That's
lobster
what they do
on
in
top
Delaware?
of the, they got the lobster on top of the fries.
Oh man. I think you might have just gave us a moneymaker.
Yeah, that right there, man. Let me tell you, I sat there and every time we go out there, I mean, it's so fresh.
Right.
So I'm looking at this, man.
Right.
I got to come down here, and in my mind, I'm like, yo, I can't wait till like the foodies that are on TV, where they come out and they're eating their first, dog at your place, and enjoying themselves. Man, I see families gathering and just enjoying a day down there.
Hot dogs,
yeah.
It's so many. And it's funny. A lot of times when I go down, I used to work at General Motors. And a lot of times, a lot of the food trucks pull up inside of Campus Marshes, and I don't never see a hot dog business.
No, I never do either.
A lot of the hot dogs that we see are Coney Island based, and Coney Island doesn't have that many selections when it comes to the toppings and the type of dogs that you got. So it's just a no-brainer. It's just taking what we like to the next level. You know what I'm saying? So when he presented that opportunity and we actually had an opportunity to buy in, we had to jump all over it. I mean, it's hard to get a food franchise, and I bought one.
Yeah, you have one.
I have one.
You have one. So listen, coming soon.
The
original hot dog factory, Detroit.
Right.
It's opening up. Well, you said we got the Boston dog. We have of course, we have the Detroit dog.
The Detroit Coney. We got the Jamaican jerk.
You got
the vegan dog. I mean, there's so many options. It's so many options. And that's the funny thing about it. When we went down there, we actually tried the food, and the food is amazing.
Right.
They got fried Oreos.
Fried Oreos.
I've
never had that.
A deep fried Oreo. Oh, talk about a sugar rush.
Okay.
It's good, but you go like shake it. Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm excited. Our territory that we're opening up is in Midtown. So we're in the process now where we're going through finding the real estate, and then we have to build out, and then we open the store. So probably if I was to make the approximation, later towards the end of this year, early next year, just depending on, all the finding the place, building it out, and what type happens.
So here's the question. Is there going to be a pop-up shop though? Like are you going to do like a pop-up, somewhere that we can come and like sample it and then give us the date for the launch?
Well, so
or how are you going to do?
So we actually franchise for a store and a food truck.
Okay.
So with the food truck, we get that built out, we can pop up all over the place. So I think from that standpoint, working with the franchisor, we stay in the guidelines and what's best for them. So I think we got, we open the store, open the food truck from there. I mean, that's the good thing about food trucks. I mean, you can go where the business is. You go to where the people are. I mean, just think about, the Detroit Jazz Festival, all these festivals, all the people that's out in Campus Marshes working for Quicken Loans, General Motors, all these businesses around here. I mean, just hot dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. So when we think about, you were party promoting,
right?
A transition to a greater purpose, to some mentorship and guidance,
right?
Then you were able to, like you just shared, that you worked at GM,
correct,
and you were doing some great work there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you transitioned simultaneously where you got Tucks and Chucks going on,
right?
Then you open up the nonprofit Cool Smart,
right?
Now you have the original hot dog Detroit,
right.
That's launching. But what was so impactful for me when I think about your story, you made a post a couple of days ago saying happy birthday to your dad.
Oh, yeah, my pops.
Your pops, yeah. And one of the things that I read, you said, I didn't have to figure out this thing on my own.
I didn't.
And that was powerful.
Yeah.
And now you are a father.
And
I know what I say is children are the safest place to pour everything you know.
Right.
And so when I look at how you're leading your son,
right.
And I saw it I remember when he was on the way, and I saw the anticipation in your eyes, and then like the joy that I see, man, from you interacting with him online,
yeah.
That you're tracking all his growth and his milestones, man. Talk to me about that, being a dad.
Oh, being a dad is tremendous. I mean, it's it's like the best part of you that comes out into a little human being, and you can watch part of you. Like, oh, he acts just like me. Right. So you're patient because you're like, okay, I see myself in him. So you can't always get mad when they do some things. But I mean, the good, like you said, the good part, starting off with my father, growing in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So my dad, basically whatever he didn't accomplish or he probably made a decision not to do, and then he ended up finding out he should have did. He was like, I was like, Dad, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm about to graduate from high school. He's like, go into computers, son. Computers is the future. They change every 6 months. Things are changing. It'll be a good career for you. And that's what I went into: computer engineering, telecommunications. Graduated from Michigan State, and I just start working in that industry. And I'm still today, information security, cybersecurity professional. That's my background. So just having, and growing up, in our community, a lot of my friends, they don't have their fathers in their lives. So me being of that minority where my dad was there, I didn't have to figure out everything on my own. He kind of gave me a game plan, and he was like, go with this. And then from there, when I matured enough to figure out, if I wanted to zig or zag or go a different route, I can do that. Now what I'm doing, because, naturally, when our parents came about, the American Dream was all about go to school and go get you a job.
Go to work.
We're in Detroit. Right. Go, if you work for the big three, you made it, right?
Absolutely.
That was the sentiment.
Fresh Cadillac and money in the bank.
Right. Yeah. That's the sentiment probably 10, 20 years ago. But now that climate is starting to change, and we want to have ownership. And so for me, and basically on my shirt where I say, if you didn't come from a rich family come from you.
Right.
A lot of, the economic growth or the getting back into ownership is starting with our generation, because we're starting to think differently. Mm-hmm. We start to, it's okay to work for an employer, but you want to create your own vision and see if you can grow that, and then you give your options to. So my son, the things that I'm starting off today, he's going to have options when he get his own offer. If he wants to work for a corporation, he can, or he can take over dad's businesses, or he can create his own. We don't know what it's going to be like 20 years from now. A lot of the jobs, the manufacturing jobs, automation is wiping out a lot.
Right.
So a lot of those jobs, might not be here.
Right. And AI is
AI. So a lot of, a lot of the middle class was built off of manufacturing, and those opportunities we can already see where our parents were making $20, $25 an hour, $30 an hour. That's been decimated. Those people are making $10 to $15, and then now those jobs are going to go away. So we have to think about something different, where we got to give options for our children to where, and then look how social media makes like I said, going back to just Popeyes, blew it up.
Right.
Social media is so powerful, and then people can just make sales increase. So really just understanding how to impact and how to, generate revenue off of social media and different things like that. And like for me, I own 3 T-shirt companies.
Right.
20 years ago, I wouldn't know where to start. But now with drop shipping,
right,
I own 3 and I've sold 2.
So listen, I got to get some of that apparel. I got to get some gear, man. So I have to get this shirt right here.
Yeah, this is
because that speaks to me. I saw you post that.
Yeah, strictly business. This is me and my cousin JT. So JT, James Wingate, me and him have a photo booth business together called Moxie Pics. So that's one of the first businesses that I bought after I got laid off with General Motors in February, right? So me and him started this because it all resonates. We used to have an organization called Young Black Entrepreneur, and it was basically, we had the forethought way back before entrepreneur really got big in Detroit, and Detroit looked like it did today, where we was like, we have to have an alternative to corporate America. We got to think about that, but it wasn't as easy to do. So what we did is kind of evolved it and, not make it more about, ethnicity, just more about business, because everybody is in business. Black people, white people, whatever. All the young people want to own their own. So this is resonating with everybody. So when I wear this out, I get stopped so much because people read it as in big block letters and they say, oh, I like that. I really like that. Right. Because it's really on us. If you didn't come from a rich family, then it got to start with us.
Right.
We are the ones that take our family to the next level financially. And then whatever rich means to you, rich might not mean money. Rich might mean something else. But wherever wherever your family needs to transcend, it's really on us to start that.
Right.
And then pass it on.
So here's the thing, as a serial entrepreneur,
Right.
like, what is your best advice for people listening on how to generate money, how to make funds, how to grow your bank, how to secure the bag?
I think it all comes down to you got to have a good product or service. You got to have something that people want. That's what it comes down to, basically. I know a lot of times we see on social media, people get upset because their friends don't patronize their business. But maybe they don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just because I'm your friend don't mean I'm going to buy your product. You got to have a good product or service. You got to create something that's so good that everybody wants. So I would say first, where's the need? Where's the want? Create the need or the demand for it. You know what I'm saying? And then people are going to buy it. And then once they buy it, give them good customer service, because that's what lacks a lot of times. Some people might have a good product, but then the service lacks, or then some people, might not just have a good product. It has to be, something that resonates with your consumer base.
Okay.
And that's what it comes down to me.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can get into how to market, advertise, how to socially connect, engage. There's so many tools that we have that make things easy to reach the broader audience. It's not like back in the day where you had to take out newspaper ads and
right.
I can promote your podcast from my phone while we're talking on this podcast. All I got to do is push a button.
Push the button.
Boop, it goes out to 5,000 people, right? There's really no excuse. We can fine-tune different skill sets, but there's really no excuse. If you have an audience, and while it was easier for me, because like I said, I've always had that audience base from throwing parties. Okay. So naturally, as I evolve in the different products and services that I offer, that base is still there. I just have to give them what they want. As I'm approaching 39, that base isn't looking for parties as much because we're getting older. We got kids, people are married. You can't be out in the streets as much. You're tired.
Absolutely.
You catch a hangover, you done for like 2-3 days.
Oh yeah, done.
Yeah. So what you have to do is that base is still the same, and they're still looking for you to provide experiences or products and services. Now you just got to give them something that's in line of where they are in their life. So for me, photo booths are great because people are having, you got baby showers, you got, kids are graduating, going to college. Everybody likes to take photos and video. That's just part of our culture with the phone. So that's an easy sell. Like you say, these T-shirts where it's easy for me to create it, but now I'm trying to resonate with my other entrepreneurs by quotes.
Right.
So a lot of times we want to represent what we're feeling on the shirt, and you don't have to say it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times in business, one of the other shirts, cut the check.
Yeah, bottom line.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
If you want my product and service, you got to pay for it.
Right.
And
not
discount it.
When that come off the press, I need that, right?
And not discount it.
Right.
Full price.
Full price.
Because you'll go over here.
You'll go somewhere else and pay it.
So you got to pay me full price. So it's really strictly business, all about just statements and what we feel. And when you wear that entrepreneurial hat, there's certain things that you feel and certain things you have to encounter. So just put it on a shirt. You ain't got to say it.
Yeah, that's what I like. What's the some people it was originally that 90 day. Then it was 60.
Right.
Then now it's 30. We need to do something like 30, 60, 90 and have some birds flying.
Right.
For the birds. Cut the check right now.
Cut
Absolutely.
the check. Yeah.
And so, man, as we round and get ready to come close to the close of this interview, there's so much that we've talked about, man. Right. So much about like just life in general, about building something that your son can inherit, learning from the wisdom that your father shared from you, the insight that he shared, and all in all, when I talk to different and I interview different guests, there's like this red thread that runs through the theme of the interview.
Okay,
and when I'm listening to you, man, there's power in following direction and instruction.
It is.
Yeah, it's such a power. Because when you said that Jerome came to you and was like, hey, man, it's time to essentially level up, and increase your social impact.
Right.
And you said, okay, cool. and you followed that instruction, and it has proven profitable.
No
right?
contest.
No contest.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's why I like to. That's why it's important for us to surround yourself about people that you look at them because they've done more than you. They're more accomplished because when they bring you stuff, you're not really going to question it because they're like mentors to you, and you already look at their moves and their steps. So when Daron said it, I was like, let's do it.
Right.
And he introduced me to Mr. Donaldson, and it just took off from there. So same thing with party promotions. I started doing club parties because DJ Cuts, Mike West, who's one of my closest friends, he said, I threw my first cabaret probably a long time ago. I can't even remember, 2001. I don't even know. But he was like, you should start doing club parties. And I was like, okay.
Right.
And I did it.
Let's go.
My dad said, you should become a licensed used car dealer and sells cars. 2005, I went and got my license. I did it. So, why not just try it? You know what I'm saying? If you don't have to put down an exuberant amount, or you can just get in the game and try it. Like when people give you these ideas, I run with them.
And they've proven profitable.
They're proven well.
Yes.
They've proven well. I've learned a lot. So I'm just thankful for all the people in my life that, like you say, fed into me and then gave me some game, and I can take it and run with it, and then we can all still be a team, and do things together. So, like you say, follow directions.
Yeah. So you've been following directions, man. And literally each step of the way. That's why you was like, Daron said do this. I did it.
I did it.
My dad said computers are the future.
Boom.
I did it.
I've been in computers for the last 15, 20 years.
Right. I saw my man making moves in Atlanta, wanted to get in on the ground level, looked at the opportunity. Hey. And what I loved about that story, he may have been on his way to franchising or, had the idea anyway.
Right.
But when you created a demand on it, like, hey, man, when are you doing this?
Right.
Like, I was
bugging him.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I was bugging him to the point he was like, as soon as I get this ready, you're the first person I approach. And then also, like you say, the good thing about it is, and I put that in my post on Facebook, is a lot of the opportunities that we need is in our network. I'm buying into his vision.
Right.
It's not my vision. We go to work for corporate America and we buy into strangers' vision all the time, but why don't we buy into our friends or people in our network's vision? I didn't have a vision of selling hot dogs until I saw him do it, and I bought into his vision. And that's what I wanted to showcase in my Facebook post, is because, a lot of times we go off and we create the same businesses and compete against each other. But now I can make profit, and he'll profit off of some of my profit because of the franchising fees, and we can work together. He wants me to succeed because he wants to sell more franchises.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing where I'm saying in the post, I'm like, what we need, we have access to it. Support each other. If you create, it's a lot of people.
Wait, pause. That's the next T-shirt. What we need, we have access to it. Support each other.
Right.
All right.
There
listen,
you go. There you go.
I like that. Let's go.
Yeah, we do. Because, that's the truth about it, man. It's so many people that's in our community that's doing great things. All we have to do is support each other. We don't have to, you don't have to steal each other's ideas and compete. You can really just start franchising the business. If you got a good business, franchise it and expand it.
Right. And that's what I think that's what's missing, though, is like, you'll hear generally around January, June, December, everybody starts talking about leveling up, right?
Right.
Leveling up is that it becomes a universal conversation.
Right.
But the strategies to do that, a lot of people miss out on, right? And we were talking about how the older professionals, they know how they're tied to understanding how giving monetarily helps, right?
Right.
But I do believe that there's a wealth of information and strategies that still has to be downloaded from that generation, to our generation and subsequently on, that leveling up requires this, right?
Right. Because if you look at history, what I see, I'm not, the best historian, but there was a point where black people all were business owners.
Right.
And then it seemed like we started to get educated, and then we started to work for the employers. But now it's starting to come back to we want our own. Everybody wants their own. You know what I'm saying? Not just black people. So as we get into that, that creates that circulation of dollars because, you know, like you said, if I do one thing, you do another thing, we pay each other for our services, that money is circulating around. So I wish it, like I said, I wish it was a place that we can go and gather and get that information from people who've done it. But it does, you know, I don't know of a meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know of the secret meeting.
Right. Yeah.
Where
I'm not aware
older
of one
folks
either.
is like, hey, young man, this is how you do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can meet onesie twosies here, but I don't see the collective committee of this is how you do it because we've done it or we're doing it now. And if you want to, but it should because that's the succession plan.
That's right.
That's why Mr. D brought us in because that base starts to, they die off.
Right. Right.
So that vision dies because there's nobody succeeding it. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. I wish there was a committee of folks that set us young people down, handpicked us, and like, all right, I like you. And there was some trust. I think maybe there was a lack of trust. And they said, this is how you get off the sideline. The guideline to get off the sideline. I think J. Cole said it in one of his raps, but that's needed. But, hey, if we can't get it, then we create it.
Then we create it.
Then we create it for the next generation.
Right. Man, I would love to hear your thought about this. So I was talking to my kids about and this is just my purview,
Right.
is that when you are engaging with the world, you as a person have to determine what system or what machine you're going to, you know, participate in, right? So whether it is like a career in finance or a career in computers or a career in education or a career in entertainment, that machine operates a certain way.
Right.
It flows a certain way. And, you know, some of us, and I would like to say that we also share, we're disruptors, right? So, but when you disrupt, you also have to have a direction that you're going. So what I'm seeing, man, is I was telling my kids there's nothing wrong with innovation because that's great. You know, nothing wrong with evolution, you know, to improve something. That's great. But when you disrupt something, what you have to do is you also have to have a direction that you're leading the other people in. You have to have a mission and a purpose for what it is that you're doing.
Right.
So what's your thought on that?
Like you say, I don't know. Let's unpack it. You disrupt. So let's think about. Let's try to talk this out. Like Airbnb is disrupting the hospitality industry. What direction I'm trying to? If I put myself in that guy, whoever started it, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. In what direction? To me, it seems like the whole direction is just take it over. Because I would rather stay in a house than I would stay in a hotel. For one, you stay in a house, you're just a lot more comfortable. You have all the amenities and things like that. I think the direction, you just got to do it better than whoever you disrupted. I don't know if that's a direction, but you just do it better than the norm. Like, you know, a lot of reasons why disruption happens is because people were giving us mediocre service or mediocre amenities. I can go out of town and a group of us friends can rent an Airbnb for $1,000 for the weekend or whatever the price, and we all pay $250 or $200 a piece, and we can go to the grocery store and cook. We don't have to worry about noise complaints. We don't have to worry about, we got the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If we want to enjoy ourselves and have a little party in there, we can. If you want to cook your own food, which saves you money because you're not eating out every day, you can. You know, it's a house. It's a big house instead of everybody paying $500 for a weekend.
For the weekend, right.
You take 4 people and $500 a piece for the weekend. That's $2,000. You take 4 people in one house paying $1,000. You didn't save half the money already. So now travel becomes more accessible and it's cheaper. If you can pay less, you're going to pay less.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think, to me, if I say direction, do it better than the industry that you disrupt and do it better than them. If you can do it cheaper and create a better experience, you win it.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to get in the cab no more. Cabs cost more. I jump in the Lyft.
Right.
You know?
Or an Uber.
Right. It's just a better experience. You know, I remember we was in Chicago and we got a Uber XL or a Lyft XL, and the guy came up, he had TVs and lights and music. It created a better experience than sitting in the cab where there's plastic glass and you just, you know, there's no social interaction or anything. They doing it better. And it's just technology is involved.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't even know how to call a cab.
Right.
Let me be honest. How do you call a cab? You got to look on Google?
No. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
because I just hit the app.
So the direction is maybe
Right.
making it more accessible, better service, and you involve technology because we live on our phones.
I like that, man. So I sat here. I've already given some challenges on some T-shirts. I need to see
Yeah, you gave.
Yeah. And so here's my last one. My last T-shirt.
I gotta
right?
write these down.
Here we go. My last one. My last T-shirt is gonna say "Life," LIFE : right?
Life :
Create a better experience.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
So even if you just cut one of those, I'll wear it. So listen, Jay, it's been cool having you on, man. Excited about all of your success. Excited about your family,
Right.
And just what you're doing, man, is impacting and changing lives. And from your T-shirt brands, your T-shirt companies to the original hot dog,
Right.
to Cool Smart, to Tux and Chucks. Man, listen, peace and blessings to you.
Thank you.
And all of your work with Mr. D and around Buff, man, listen, we just got to keep it going, impacting these young people's lives.
Yeah, you do. Just take a shot. Like young people, if you listen, old people, whatever you want to do, time waits for no man. So the longer you wait, look, it's September.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Shoot the shot.
Shoot the shot.
Because 2020 is around the corner. So if you've been sitting on anything that you want to accomplish, you better do it now.
Do it now.
Because the longer you wait, you're going to look back and regret it. So I'm trying to shoot like Kobe out here. I'm just shooting 50 shots a game. Like I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to hit at least one of them.
Yeah, the strength is the numbers. Eventually, something going to work.
Right. So at the Drawing Board Podcast, this is what I tell you. Your future is not behind you. It is not before you. It is within you. And today, life, create a better experience. Peace and blessings. God bless.
This is cool, man.
Yeah. So appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Always. Yes, sir.